What's up, fam? Welcome back to another exciting edition of Keith Walker Books Reads. All right, today I'm going to read you one of my favorite poems by Laurence Dunbar. It is titled Sympathy. It was first published in 1899 in his collection Lyrics of the Hearthside. After I read it, I'll offer an analysis. Sympathy. I know what the caged bird feels, alas, when the sun is bright on the upland slopes, when the wind stirs soft through the springing grass, and the river flows like a stream of glass, when the first bird sings and the first bud opes, and the faint perfume from its chalice steals, I know what the caged bird feels. I know why the caged bird beats his wing till his blood is red on the cruel bars, for he must fly back to his perch and cling, when he fain would be on the bough a swing, and the pain still throbs in the old scars, and they pulse again with a keener sting. I know why he beats his wing. I know why the caged bird sings, ah me, when his wing is bruised and his bosom sore, when he beats his bars and he would be free. It is not a carol of joy or of glee, but a prayer that he sends from his heart's deep core, but a plea that upward to heaven he flings. I know why the caged bird sings. All right, so that's the poem. So as far as Laurence Dunbar, his biography, he was born in 1872, which was after slavery. He was born in Dayton, Ohio, but both of his parents were born and lived during slavery. So they were both freed before he was born, but he definitely knew what it was like to be oppressed. Because right after slavery, we already know the Reconstruction period in the United States at that time was not a good time to be black. So this poem speaks to oppression, it speaks to slavery, it speaks to a lot of different things. As far as the literary devices, the most obvious one is the symbolism. So the caged bird in this poem, he symbolizes people who have been oppressed. And when you think about a bird in a cage, and sometimes you hear the bird singing, Laurence Dunbar, he just took that very small thing and he turned it into something major, and he wrote a beautiful poem about it. Other literary devices that stand out would obviously be the imagery. So the poem opens up in the first stanza, and what he wants to do, he wants to describe a scene that is so beautiful, so serene, and also do the analysis from a caged bird's perspective. So if a caged bird is in a bird, and he's in a cage, he's looking out the window, and he sees this, what would you imagine this bird is feeling? So it says, when the sun is bright on the upland slopes, when the wind stirs soft through the springing grass, when the river flows like a stream of glass. I mean, this is all beautiful. When the first bird sings, this is the outside bird, not the caged bird. The first bird sings and the first bud opes. A bud is a flower. And the faint perfume from his chalice still. So this caged bird, he sees this scene. He's looking at the wind stirring through the grass, the river. He can hear other birds, free birds singing. First flowers start to bloom, and he can even smell the perfume. And he says, I know what this caged bird feels. And then you get into second verse, and then it gets dark real quick. I know why the caged bird beats his wing till his blood is red on the cruel bars. That's more imagery, by the way. But just the image of a bird in a cage beating his wing and his blood to the point where he's literally got blood on the bars. But he also has blood on him, because he says later in the poem he points that out. But he says at this point he wants to fly back to his perch and cling. He would rather be on a bough or swing. And then this is the interesting part. He says the pain still throbs in the old scars. So we get the impression that this bird has been beating his wings against the cage throughout a certain time period, because these are old scars and they still hurt, but he's still beating his wing against the bars, knowing he can't be free, but he's still doing it for we don't know how long. Time and time again, this feeling, this overwhelming need to be free is causing him to do this, and that's a very dark and sad scenario. And also he says the pain pulses again. So when this scene happens and he sees all of this and he knows he's locked up, the old scars start to hurt anew, brand new pain. And then in the last stanza, He says his wing is bruised, his bosom sore. He's beating his bars because he would be free. This is the catcher. He says that the song that he's singing is not a carol of joy or glee, but a prayer that he sends from his heart's deep core. This song, when you hear the bird in the cage, he's not singing out of happiness. This is a plea that upward to heaven he flings. And although he never experienced slavery, and this poem may not be referencing slavery directly, that is something that a lot of slaves endured. So we know that in the South, when the slaves were on a plantation, sometimes the masters would try to use that as an excuse for them not being unhappy. The people from up north, the abolitionists, they would come down and try to, decry slavery, and they're like, well, they're not unhappy. Look at them, they're out in the field, they're singing. So he's saying this is not a song of joy or glee. And also we know that the songs that the slaves were singing on the plantation, some of them at least, these are not necessarily happy songs. They had Follow the Drinking Gourd. That's a reference to the Underground Railroad. Follow the water so you can get there. Go Down Moses, Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. They were singing this on the plantation. Still Away to Jesus, Wade in the Water. That's another song that directly references the Underground Railroad. So we know that the songs that the slaves were singing, these were not joyful songs. They weren't out there because I'm happy. No, they were not singing those songs. These were very desperate people in dire straits, and these were pleas that they were sending up to heaven, like he says in the poem. All right, so that's my analysis of the poem. I hope you liked it. If so, hit the like button. You want to post a comment, let me know what you thought. Post it in the comment section. And if you just stumbled across this channel and you're not subscribed, this would be a great time to do it. I would love to see you around. I appreciate your support, and I'll see you next time.